I'm Mike. I'm Ultimike pretty much everywhere, Twitter and Drupal.org and anywhere else that my social network of the month. I have a hard time juggling more than one. But I'm one of the guys who started Drupal Easy. We do a podcast. We're on episode 92 coming up this week. So we've been around for a little while. I do a lot of Drupal training and developing. Our business is really, right now it's about 50-50, and we do a lot of training in the workforce development space, where we work with people who are looking for new careers, and we put them through a 10-week-long training program to get them up and running with a Drupal career. So today, what we're going to talk about is slideshows. So I actually put this presentation together based on a blog post I did a few months back. And the blog post kind of came out of, every now and then we'd get emails trickling in from old students. I don't want to say old students, previous students. Or people just asking, hey, how do you guys put together your slideshows? Because anyone who's built a Drupal site, you've probably built a slideshow, and if there's 20 people in a room, there's probably at least 15 different ways that slideshow has been built. So I put a blog post together about how we do it and kind of our best practices. And it got a lot of feedback, it got a lot of hits, so we said, oh, this probably make a good meetup presentation. So I did it at a meetup, and again, we got a lot of good feedback, so I cleaned it up a little bit more, and here we are. So most clients, love the bling on their site. A lot of Drupal developers, we like a really strong infrastructure, information architecture, sustainability. But sometimes you have clients who are just like, oh, I like the way that thing looks, and I would like that on my website, and I want it shiny. So slideshows are one of those shiny things that we can give our websites. Therefore, since clients love bling and slideshows are bling, clients generally love slideshows. I would say probably 4 out of 5 sites I build for clients involve a homepage slideshow in one form or the other. Whether it's just a standard fade-in, fade-out slideshow or some type of carousel. Slideshows are really nice because they pull attention to a very visual element of the page, and you can, as a client, our clients can highlight specific areas in a very bold way to drive people to an area of their website. So some examples. I think we all know what slideshows look like. I just added this one today. I figured it was relevant. So this is a slideshow. See? This is one of the first slideshows I did a few years ago for a company. And this one was a little bit different because the links on the left there, starting with network security, client security, as the slides fade in and out, those links on the left and right change and highlight. So it wasn't too bad to do that. Most of these jQuery-powered slideshow plugins have events that fire every time a slide changes that you can hook into to change CSS. Here's another slideshow. This is a Drupal 6 slideshow. I actually caught the screenshot in mid-transition. Took me about 3 tries. This is a slideshow that kind of acts as a giant carousel. Rather than slides fading in and out, you see the little buttons on the left and right, so the whole slide is kind of whoosh, whoosh. And then some of the big federal government sites have slideshows right in their homepage as well. EPA and Commerce. And if you registered for this camp, I'm assuming none of you, barged your way in. We all saw the slideshow here. So, we know that there's lots of ways to create these slideshows. And here's just a few. This is the one that we've been standardizing on for Drupal 7 pretty much exclusively. And a lot of these, I did a search and found these, and I'm like, really? Wow, there's really are a lot of ways to create slideshows. Yeah, I think out of this list, I have used 4 of them in practice. I know people who use Nevo Slider, which is just a jQuery plugin. Bean Slide is something I learned about after I put my blog post together. And someone called me out and said, aren't nodes kind of old-fashioned? Shouldn't you be using these beans? And I'm like, what the hell's a bean? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm still not exactly sure what a bean is, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere between a block and a node. Maybe that'll be my next presentation. What the heck is a bean? But there's a lot of different ways to do it. So what's the best way? Well, it's highly dependent on who your client is, what your level of skill is, what the end result needs to be. There's no best way. Or you can look at the other way. There's a lot of best ways. But I'm only going to talk about just one. So if you have a heart condition, avert your eyes. I'm going to talk about mine. So, so let's talk about what features do I, because it's all about me right now. So you guys are just lucky to be here while I talk to myself. What features do I usually need in a slideshow? And this is actually one of the biggest ones that a lot of time you don't think about up front. It's the ability for the user to click on a slide and to be sent to any URL. A lot of times if you're creating a slideshow and you're just attaching an image field to an article content type, then you're almost locking yourself in to that when someone clicks on that slide, they will go to that node. But a lot of times you want to send someone to a particular view or some other system path, or maybe offsite somewhere. So the ability to link a slide to any URL is always one of the first things that, it's usually the first limitation we hit when we don't do it. So that's kind of baked in here. A way to very easily modify the slide order is often a client request. Preload future slides. That way, if they have a graphic designer in-house or, as a contractor, they can say, hey, can you create me a Christmas slide and a New Year's slide and a Groundhog Day slide, and then they can just turn them on and off as they need them. The ability to add titles and captions and attributions and other fields as text that sits with the slide, not actually embedded in the image of the slide. And then lately, the ability for slideshows to be adaptive. Regardless of the device or the width of the window, if you guys are like my mom, who, again, I'm not allowed to point, I'm not allowed to walk over there, but this one. My mom has one of those 27-inch iMacs, and every window is always maximized. She doesn't understand. So you get like white bar, content, white bar. But with adaptive themes, you can create a wide mode to take more advantage of those giant white curtains on the side. This is using Omega, but either wide or normal or tablet sized or mobile device sized. So no matter what size device your slideshow is being viewed on, there's no horizontal scrolling. It fills up the available area, and you can design for it. So this is kind of one that we started doing probably about 6 months ago, or all of our slideshows are now adaptive, whether or not we're even using an adaptive theme. So how do we implement all this stuff? Well, first of all, I like to have a custom content type for my slideshow, mainly because it decouples the slide from the content. Again, a lot of this goes back to when someone clicks on that slide, they don't want to be limited to where they're allowed to be sent. They want to be able to say, I want to go to this brand new view we just created, or I want to send someone to our sister site over here at a completely different URL. So by creating a custom content type just for the slides, it gives you the maximum amount of flexibility. Like I said earlier, we also use the View Slideshow module. And what's interesting with the View Slideshow module is you're not limited to which jQuery plugins you're allowed to use. It ships with, or it's recommended with, jQuery cycle. But the method we use actually adds a different jQuery plugin to actually do the slideshow, run the slideshow on the client side. How do we we do this linking to any URL? Well, we use the field redirection module. And what this does is when a link field is displayed, we can add a redirect. So you put the link of where the slide's going to go in the link field, and then on the manage display page, whenever you're looking at the full node or whenever you're being sent to the full node for that particular slide, you're actually sent to wherever that link is pointing. It has a 301 redirect. So SEO friendly as well. What do we use to easily modify the slide order? Old school way, old school being a year and a half, would be the node queue module. But for this type of application, draggable views, I think of draggable views as node queue light. Anybody familiar with node queue? Okay, well, draggable views is, for this application, much better. And what it does, and I'll show you in a few minutes, it just lets you reorder the slide just by dragging and hitting a button. It's a views plugin. It's very easy to add this functionality to a view to let you rearrange the order. The ability to preload future slides. Hopefully we all know how to do this because it's right there in Drupal core. We got it. We set the slideshow slide content type to be unpublished by default. So anytime somebody adds a new slide, they have to publish it. And you could add the scheduler module to this if you want. That will publish and unpublish slides on a schedule, or if you just want to do it manually. For the title, caption, and attribution, we just add fields to our custom content type. We use the views module to pull those fields in, and then we have a little bit of custom CSS. It's purposely small, so you can't read it, because it doesn't matter what the CSS is, but this is about 30 lines of CSS that we end up using on a lot of sites, and I'll show you a demo of it in a few minutes, just because it's very clean, and it kind of puts all the metadata about the slide hovering on top. And then for the adaptive part of it, well, we use a responsive base theme. We like Omega, but this method is not limited to Omega. You can use whatever responsive base theme you want. And the secret sauce for this one is a module called Flex Slider. And what Flex Slider does is it integrates with View Slideshow and just gives you a different type of client-side plugin, one that is responsive. So I'm going to demo all this stuff. I know I tend to talk fast, so let me take a breath here. Everybody with me so far? Okay. So one thing I've done is everything I'm about to show you, you can have up and running very quickly. So this is a link to a blog post I'll show you in a few minutes. Hopefully it should be easy to remember the URL there. If you can remember where you are right now, we should be in good shape. But there's a blog post. I've created a feature out of all this stuff. So if you download the feature, if you're familiar with the features module, you can download all this stuff, and I basically give you the views, I give you the content type, I give you the image style settings, everything you need. And if you're familiar with Drush Make, I give you a make file as well, which you can run, and it just downloads everything for you. So in one line, you could have everything you need and just be ready to go. So for the demo, I could do all this stuff. I've done part of it. But this is like the non-Drush Make way, and this is kind of where I go down a little rabbit hole and tell you how awesome Drush Make is. If you have Drush on your machine and you haven't used it, this is a good opportunity because I'm giving you everything you need. Basically, all you really need to do is download this make file, run this Drush Make command. And what Drush Make does is it goes out and downloads Drupal core, downloads all the modules you need, downloads my feature, puts it all in there, and then you can just get everything up and running. And I'm going to go through that entire process, other than the downloading, because I don't trust Wi-Fi anywhere, unless it's in my house. Yeah, OK, so let's do a little demo here. Oh, I think I have to change my resolution again to get pop back. confirm. I'll confirm it 3 times. All right, fantastic. All right, so basically what I've done is I have gone ahead and I've already run drushmake. And that drushmake command basically gives me all of this stuff, which is Drupal core, along with all these modules that we need, as well as some other modules. I have extra modules in here, including the Drupal Easy Slideshow feature. So you run the drushmake command, you get everything, and then you end up at a standard Drupal installation. So let's go ahead and, this is all local. Oh, yeah, I got to spell right. Cold sweat there for a second. It's like, I know it works if I spell right. So I like to do this, I know this is going to take a minute or two, but I like to do this in presentations because a lot of people, they'll see a presentation like this and they won't really have any takeaways. But what I really want to demonstrate that it's really easy to play with this. And if you like 80% of the way I do things, you can override my feature very easily and get to where you need. So think of this as a kind of a nice stepping stone. My password is admin everywhere. If anybody wants to check my email for me, feel free. You guys see that list just came out of like the top 25 worst passwords? Number 1, of course, password. I mean, come on. Is anybody like still doing that? I don't get that. All right. So standard Drupal install. We go up to modules. And we enable the features module, F-E-A-T, I can't talk. And then once you enable features, you can go to structure features, and we got this little slideshow feature. So for those of you not familiar with features, what features allows us to do is kind of wrap up a bunch of configuration into these things called features, which are actually modules, but we call them features. So when I save this and enable this feature, we're going to get a content type, we're going to get the view we need, we're going to get an image style that we need, we're going to get all the configuration that we need to have our slideshow and start adding slides to it. So actually here, so just as a proof of concept, if I go to structure, content types, it's just the basic stuff, right? If I go to structure, features, turn on the feature, now I'll go back to structure, content types. Now we've got a new content type with everything the way we want it. At this point, we can start adding slides. So let's come and add a new slideshow slide. So Olympic Park from the Summer Games. I even have some images ready to go here, hopefully. DC, yep, let me get a Dropbox. Anatomy, slide images, Olympic Park. Upload that. And let's say when you click on that, you go to another Atlanta landmark. And say, photo by some dude. And remember, I have it by default set to not publish, but I'm just going to go ahead and publish this one immediately. And most slideshows are pretty boring if you only have one slide. So let's do Stone Mountain. Haven't gotten there yet. I hear it's beautiful, though. Maybe tomorrow morning, if I get up early enough. And just for the heck of it, let's just go to an internal link that exists already. So if you click on this, you're going to go to the user page, which for a logged-in user is their profile. And we'll leave this attribution off this one. All right, so we go back to the home page. We don't see anything. Not surprising because I don't want to assume that you're going to want to put this slideshow on the home page. Most people will. So I made a half assumption, and I just set the URL to home. But if you go here, you get your slideshow, and it should transition here in a second. There we go. And if we pretend that we're on a tablet, oh, we can't do that yet because we're still in Bardic. So we got to switch to the other theme in a second. Before I do that, though, so let me show you some of the admin functionality that we kind of have built into this. So by default, just the title and the caption, the attribution just kind of appear in line on top of each other like Drupal wants to do. I'll show you the little theming in a few minutes. But as I was saying earlier, there's a lot of times that admins want easy access to see, well, show me a way to reorder the slides, or show me slides that are unpublished. So the view that we include in all this, we have a slide sorter. So I'm just going to put this on the dashboard and hit save. If we go back to the dashboard, so now we have a published slide sorter. So an admin can come in here and say, no, I really want Stone Mountain to be first, and hit save. And we currently don't have anything unpublished. Oh, did I not hit save? Oh, it's saving still.
Where did the published slide sorter come from?
It was a view that uses draggable views that I included as part of the feature. So again, this is something you can use. Basically, I'm not trying to push the feature on you. I know it seems like that, but I'm making the feature available that way. Rather than me going step by step and building it, I can just kind of talk about the technology that we use and the end result. And if you're interested in how we built it, you can actually have the whole thing in the feature. So once that's saved and we go back to home, so now Stone Mountain comes up first. So just a very easy way for admins, and this is not rocket science. This is not very innovative. It's a best practice is the way that we look at it, and it works for us for the vast majority of our clients that we, kind of give this functionality to. So let's look at the adaptive nature of this. So we'll switch over to an adaptive theme. So let's just switch over to straight Omega. And now if we come here, it's always prettier without this stuff. So if we start shrinking, you can actually see here's the first breakpoint. So I think this is, maybe wide and then normal. And you can kind of see the images automatically resized. As we shrink down more, I think we're going to get to tablet size. So again, for those of you familiar with Omega, the columns actually shrink in width in Omega as you switch from normal to tablet. And then as we go further, and we get to mobile, and now we just have one big column, and the slideshow takes up the entire column, as it should, frankly. So again, this is actually Flex Slider that's doing all of this work, the Flex Slider module plugin, module/plugin, I should say. And then just with a little bit more effort, oh, wrong one. I actually set up a sub-theme of Omega, where the only thing I did was add those 30 lines of CSS that I showed you earlier to kind of make it a little bit prettier. And all that does is just kind of put the caption and the attribution stuff in this little pseudo-transparent bottom bar. Relatively easy to do, if you know a little bit of CSS. Yes, sir.
Does your example, your feature have the CSS in it?
No, but I have it available for download right on the blog post as well. Yep. No, I'm giving you everything everything I have. Yep.
When you resize it, don't you run into problems with image resolutions?
Um,
27-inch to a small tablet?
no, so what we do is the feature actually comes with an image style. Call it Flex Slider Full. So we scale and crop everything to 800 by 500, which is the largest for the way we built it, including the wide display, the largest the image needs to be. So as you get smaller, you're never going to get blocky, because as you get smaller, it gets better. One thing, which I'll mention in a few minutes as well, probably the next thing we add to this is an adaptive image module, so that if the page is loaded initially in wide mode, they get the wider image at full resolution. But if it's loaded initially in mobile, we actually send them a smaller image, so save bandwidth that way. In this method, no matter what the responsive mode is, we're sending the same image up. So we can improve the bandwidth by using an adaptive image type module.
So are you using the adaptive image module?
Not yet. No.
Are you going to
Not,
show that?
show what?
Show how you configure the adaptive image?
I'm not using adaptive image yet.
Or when,
No,
are
no,
you
but-
going to show the configuration of that module in this session?
No. No.
Well, I didn't mean on here, but you do use it.
No, for most slideshows, we do not use it yet. Yeah. We will. That's, like I said, that's kind of the next thing that we know that we're going to start adding to this. Which, based on the fact there's a couple of people asking, maybe I should do that sooner rather than later. Catch my session at 4, new session. Adaptive image slideshows.
The adaptive image in your slideshow, you would maybe use it if it were just like image on a page or in an article or whatever.
Yeah, you can use it. I mean, what the adaptive, there's several different modules that do this, but what the adaptive image module does is it serves up a different image file depending on the display mode. So if you're like my mom, and you have this huge widescreen display, we're going to send you the biggest image we can so it looks the best on your display. But if you're looking at it on your phone, you don't need a big 800 pixel wide image. So we're going to send you a smaller image that's faster to download for you. That's what adaptive image does. And like you were saying, you can set article images or any image field images to leverage this module, and it automatically takes care of sending out the right image.
And you don't need a flex slider. It's already built in.
Right. Well, I mean, it would help in Flex Slider because right now on mobile, we're sending the same image that we're sending on wide. It's just scaling in the browser right now. All right, so real quick, we'll take a look at some of the back-end stuff. Oh, and I always forget I have to turn on Views UI. There we go. So if we go to Structure and Views, so here's the view that we kind of built that comes with the feature. And you can see there's 3 displays. There's a page display, which is our /home. And then there's the publish slide sorter. Something just blink? Or is that just me? All right, there we go. And this is where we're using the draggable views stuff that allows the administrator to select the order of the slides. And then this last one is just a really simple block to show unpublished slides. And on the page display, this is view slideshow. But under slideshow type, we're using Flex Slider as opposed to the jQuery cycle. And this is kind of where the stretching of the images comes in. All right, any questions? Or any other questions, I should say? Yes, sir.
Is Flex Slider handling the CSS to resize the
Yes.
dynamic?
Yes.
So that saves you the effort of having to do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, literally the only code-ish stuff that we've done here is the extra CSS to handle the title and caption and stuff. Everything else is handled by these modules. All right, so where's my slideshow? There it is.
You considered adding Skinner to your feature so you can change the styling of your slideshow dynamically depending on whether you want
No, it's not a bad idea, though.
it to be side by side or underneath.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. It's not a bad idea. So we got lots of great comments. And number one was, what about adaptive images? And based on your comments, it's pretty clear. We actually had someone ask us about, well, what happens if, our slideshow has 50 images? Most of the people aren't going to get to images 5 through 50. Is there a way to load them on demand via Ajax? And I replied, I don't know. Maybe there is. So, the addition of previous, next, pause controls. Combining a navigation carousel with a slideshow. The place I see this most, as for an example, is those of you who go to ESPN.com. You see on the main page they have a big image. Here, rather than me describing it, breaking my rule of using Wi-Fi during a presentation, but let's see. Hey, look at that. So this kind of acts as a slideshow up here sometimes, and then you get this little carousel down here where you can, move it forward. Now we're going to watch a video. But that's actually something that's very doable with an attached view and a little bit of JavaScript or jQuery to kind of sync up. Let me see. To sync up the main display with the carousel. And then beans versus nodes, which I just like saying that because I picture like little beans fighting big nodes. And anyway. Yeah, so I thought I had another slide in here, but I guess not. All right, well, here, no, I did want to show you one. I'll say thank you now, but I do have something else real quick. It's not actually a slide. So you can download the feature. It's on Drupal.org. Just search for Slideshow or Drupal Easy Slideshow. Easiest place to get it is if you go to drupaleasy.com/DCATL. This is the blog post. It'll direct you right here to the blog post. And this it's the same stuff I've just presented here, a little more detail. But at the bottom, it has a link to the feature that you can download. It has a list of all the modules that we use. It has a link to the CSS, I think you were asking about, and a link to the makefile. So it should be everything you need to kind of get this up and running and to play with it and to experiment with it and make your own. So, all right, so now I can say, thank you. So any questions? Are we good?
Will this run in Drupal 6 or only 7?
I think only 7. I don't know. That's a good question. No one's asked me that. So I'm going to guess that draggable view. I think draggable views is 7 only. Oh, no, that's a 6. All right. And then, yeah, Flex Slider that's the other one I was thinking of. That's only 7. So there might be a 6 alternative. You definitely won't be able to take my feature and run it in 6, but you should be able to use the same methodology. You just have to find hopefully a swap-in replacement for Flex Slider. But I'm pretty sure everything else.
You can do everything but the adaptive part, definitely.
Yeah. With field redirection, I think field redirection might be 7 only. Field redirection. Flex. That's a whole other thing. I'll do field redirection. So that's only 7, but the nice thing about this is, Damien's here. So you can go find him and tell him to backport this module to 6. He's somewhere at this camp. So don't tell him I told you that. But I think everything else is, entity API, but that's,
Mike,
Yeah.
Going back to maybe the carousel thing, I've got a bunch of is that kind of what the carousel is, I guess, designed to take care of?
Yeah.
Any chance you can do a quick,
I can put one underneath in a couple minutes, but I won't be able to link them up in a couple minutes.
okay, all right.
So,
I just want to make sure that's doable. That was the carousel, was that a separate module?
yeah, you could use, maybe J carousel might be good for that. Here, let me pull that one up. Carousel is one of those words I never knew how to type until I started doing Drupal. Like, where exactly does the U go? I'm not sure, but it goes right there. Between the O and the S, I know now. Yeah, so this is actually what we normally use for most carousels. Although, to be honest with you, there is a J carousel is not responsive. That was my big complaint about it. jQuery elastic. I'm going to back myself into a corner by even mentioning this one. No, it's all right. But so there's this jQuery plugin called ElastiSlide, which where's the demo? This does exactly what we want because it is responsive. And we actually use this on a client site that we launched, this little trending thing up there. So that's, and it's actually touch enabled as well, which we really like. So that's why you don't see any of the navigation here. If you're on your phone, you just flick it. But it does behave nicely. We actually created a Drupal module for it. We haven't contributed it back yet because it had some custom stuff. And it's just a matter of my available time to genericize it, which I'm pretty sure is a word, which I keep asking people. No one's giving me definitive, but I feel like it should be a word.
It is now anyway.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to have time to genericize that, trademark me, and contribute it back. Yes.
Since you're going to write a module for that, can I make a couple of suggestions?
Sure. Let me get a notepad out here.
One of the nice things about Flex Slider is finger swipe works on a phone. It's
With
finger,
Flex Slider?
it's finger swipe
Okay.
aware.
Since when? Since that must be
Yeah, I think it's
relatively new.
been in there for quite some time. And I think there
but-
is a
okay.
carousel.
Oh, Flex Slider. Okay, I'm sorry.
Flex
I think
Slider.
J carousel.
Yeah,
I'm
Flex
with-
Slider.
yes.
But I think there's a carousel too that I can't remember which one it is that is finger swipe sensitive. But it dawned on me one day that all Flex Slider is a carousel with only one image in it.
Oh yeah.
So why can't somebody just take one finger swipe sensitive carousel and set it up so if you just choose one image, it would replace Flex Slider. And if you need a carousel, you say, I want it to be 5 images wide
Yeah,
or
no,
8
it's a-
images wide. And now you just got one module and it's doing everything.
That's a great question. I mean, a lot of times what happens is Drupal developers are not the ones writing the jQuery plugins.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're finding really good jQuery plugins and wrapping a Drupal module around it. So I don't know.
Well, one of the jQuery plugins I've seen has a variable where you can set the number of images
Okay.
you want to be in the carousel from 10
1
to
to 10.
1.
Yeah.
If you do 1, now it's Flex Slider. So we just need a great module designer to wrap the module around that jQuery thing so that will replace both of those modules
So
in
the,
one module.
the one question I have about that is, anytime you're going to shrink it, well, a carousel transition is always a slide. So that's the one thing that I've heard from clients in the past where we want a slideshow and it has to do the, what they call crossfade, what do they call that?
Well, but you know what? If you're trying to make a good responsive slideshow,
Right.
you're not going to be doing that because people on a phone are going to be used to flicking
Yeah.
it anyway. So that would be one limitation. But if you really wanted to have one good responsive slider, that would be a great way of
Was
doing
it Nuvo? The Nuvo slideshow, was that the jQuery one you're talking about?
It might be. I did a search one day and just found a whole bunch of them.
There's
The
a-
one I found, there was not a Drupal module for.
Maybe it's not
but I
Nevo.
can't remember. I can't
Was
remember
it?
specifically.
Nevo with an I.
An idea?
Yeah, if you also Google for finger swipe library,
Yeah.
that'll help you find it, because the one I found was finger swipe sensitive.
There's a lot of work being done on Flex Slider right now for version 2.
Oh, is there?
There's a lot, and it's adding I think it might even have that feature you're talking about.
If it'll add
It's-
multiple slides, then that becomes a
There's a
carousel
ton
at
of
the same
features
time.
being added, but it needs a lot of dev work, so if anyone wants to help contribute to that project, there's
Cool. Cool.
there's a lot of cool work being done on it to integrate all the 2x type of stuff.
No, there we go.
Because, there's a lot of features in Flex Slider that could basically make view slideshow unnecessary. Flex Slider has its own sort of views integration as well. So it's sort of like, you're having to load 2 modules when really
So you're thinking
you
about
could
having
only
two, is
need
what you're
one,
thinking about. All right. Any other questions or module suggestions?
You'll have that for us next week?
So right on. All right, well, we'll end a little bit early. That's great. So I'll be around for any other questions.